There are moments in the history of an institution when they take a leap towards new beginnings. Today marks one such leap in our lives, in the lives of the School of Legal Studies, Central University of Kashmir, and the School of Legal Studies, University of Kashmir. A leap towards new beginnings, a leap towards new progress, a leap towards new collaborations, a leap towards new opportunities. May I now request Professor Farooq Ahmed Mir, Controller, Central University of Kashmir, and Dean, School of Legal Studies, Central University of Kashmir, to formally welcome the guests.
It is a momentous occasion for all of us. Momentous occasion is because for the first time, Department of Law is going to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Law. Of course, one is from Central University, another is from University of Kashmir. Under the new leadership, who has herself created a history by becoming the first Vice Chancellor, female Vice Chancellor of University of Kashmir. So it is my proud privilege to welcome Vice Chancellor of University of Kashmir, Professor Niloofar Khan, who, as I said, has created history, but it is not in fact the first history for her. She has created other first histories also in the University of Kashmir. And I am sure under her able leadership, this university is going to touch new heights. Let me take this opportunity on the behalf of Department of Law, School of Legal Studies, and Central University of Kashmir to formally congratulate Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Niloofar Khan for assuming the charge of Vice Chancellor of University of Kashmir. Equally is my proud privilege to welcome our own Vice Chancellor, I mean to say Professor Farooq Ahmed Shah, Vice Chancellor of Central University of Kashmir, who has stood behind us all along, in all the functions, in all the administrative decisions which we take there. I welcome him from the core of my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, this is really a historic occasion for all of us, because I am emotionally attached with this great institution of learning, because I have been born here and brought up in this institution. Now I got an opportunity to serve yet another institution, which is upcoming institution. So that is why I say it is a historic moment, because we are collaborating together. And we are trying to, in fact, reap the benefits which the faculty members in this Department of Law, University of Kashmir, have earned over the period of time. And those benefits will be extended to our students of Central University of Kashmir. And equally, I am sure the students of Department of Law, University of Kashmir will be benefited by our own experience which we have in the Department of Law, School of Legal Studies in Central University of Kashmir. Ladies and gentlemen, all of you are aware that as and when we have these academic interactions, conferences or seminars, we directly or indirectly talk about National Education Policy 2020. And you know this National Education Policy has come up with 5 strong, lofty promises. The first promise is to provide quality education, which is affordable, which is accessible, and which is equitable. And for that, an institutional inbuilt mechanism has been devised, which they say will be light but at the same time tight. Enforcement mechanism is provided. So far as professional education is concerned, that has been also addressed by this policy. It says that stand-alone universities like agriculture university, law universities, health science universities, technical universities have to also come up with multidisciplinary approach which will be holistic in character. And so far as legal education is concerned, it has been separately addressed in that policy by saying that legal education has to strive hard to become competitive globally. And that is possible only when the best practices are adopted and overwhelming use of information technology is ensured. So legal education has been addressed. We have to be globally competitive.
As administrator of University of Kashmir, I am always of the opinion that all educational institutions in our area, in the surrounding areas, we must come together. We must sign MoUs which are slightly formal in nature, but we can join hands. We can share our resources, we can share our expertise, particularly the University of Kashmir, which has a strength of over 70 years, rather 7 decades. So we do have a lot of equipment in our research libraries, in our research labs, library, etc., etc. And the new universities which have come up in the J&K, they can be roped in where our expertise, our resources can be used and it could be benefited to the students of both the universities. Honestly, this is an historical occasion which Professor Farooq Saab has already talked about. He has talked about the National Education Policy document and its implications later on. And probably, hopefully it will be a success because now higher education is coming up with again a single regulatory body which is named by the name of HECI, Higher Education Commission of India, and probably it will be having 4 verticals which will take care of regulations, which will take care of the finances, because what Farooq Sir was talking about, the GDP, etc. So there will be a NAC also which will take care of the accreditation, then there will be a general council regulations also which will take care of the higher education institutions. So on behalf of University of Kashmir and on behalf of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, who has taken very recently as our first Vice Chancellor of the University, as Woman Vice Chancellor, we ensure and we assure that the University of Kashmir is ready and which is always there to extend its every support, human resource support, our equipment support, our other resource support to the educational institutions which are in our neighborhood or which are far off. We are there to help and we are there to be helped by our nearest institutions.
We have to now, because of the new education policy, we have to now break the barriers. Rules have to be created, norms have to be created now, in a sense that we collaborate with each other. Because now new education policy empowers us that we have to act as one unit. All of us are having one responsibility towards our community. And all the institutions have to put their heads together in order to contribute there on the ground itself. And these contributions cannot be made while living in silos, while living in those barriers, while having boundaries around you. We do experience, we were experiencing earlier on, we were never sharing our expertise, we were never sharing our instruments with the sister departments of the same university, not to speak of the departments from the other institutions. Now, I think we have gone matured enough to understand that if we have to really serve the community, we have to break these barriers. And the Central University of Kashmir would be always there to get the best from the other institutions and also extend the best to that institution in order to have the meaningful kind of the collaboration. We basically have to just evolve out something which will be useful to our community. With the implementation of the new education policy, we have to reframe the whole things. This reframing is a job which is to be done by the teachers, as well as by the scholars, as well as there has to be the contribution from the students. That this reframing of the new syllabus, reframing of the never vistas, it has to be made mandatory now. Because if you have to really implement the new education policy in letter and spirit, what we are supposed to do, first thing, we have to make an impact on our syllabus. We have to make an impact on the pedagogy of the syllabus. This pedagogy, how we have to make our students learn. This is important. Now we are saying that we have to move from the theoretical aspects to the experiential learning. This experiential learning, although I understand that for you, you are having the experiential learning, but we have to extend it to all. Now is the time that when we are thinking about that, now the institutions have to come as a multidisciplinary institutions. You have to give an opportunity to the students to go for multiple exit entry systems. We have to provide them the skill-based courses, options. So for that purpose, what is important is that the university's heads, these experts have to put their heads together and come up with something innovative, something new, which will pave the way for making this part of the country, as well as our country, to compete at the global levels. This is what is the need of the hour. This new education policy, they just want us that ultimately in another 15 years' time, we would be in a position to contribute, collaborate, and compete with the world. And it cannot happen if we live in silos. The only thing is, if we collaborate, there is a possibility of having some fruitful kind of output.
Professor Farooq Ahmed Mir has discussed various dimensions of national education policy in a very brief and meaningful manner. As some of our early speakers, they projected us as big brothers, Kashmir University as big brother. With all humility, we accept this status. But big always doesn't mean in terms of age or in terms of gray hair. There's a Persian quotation, Tawangari ba dil ast, na ba bal, na ba mal, buzargi ba akal ast, na ba sal. So that way, it has to be, big brother has to be in all those respects in terms of intellect, in terms of wisdom. We pray that we prove ourselves to the expectations of our brothers. As we know, the major importance of this memorandum of understanding is we share our resources, all types of resources, infrastructure, our faculty, all types of resources. But one resource which many times we forget, which we have to share. Of course, infrastructure, a very good and sensitive faculty, these are considered really very important resources of an institution. But to me, if I am asked to rank the number one resource of an institution, I won't rank infrastructure, I won't rank even faculty, but I would like to rank sensitive students like you. I would like to rank students number one resource of an institution. We are always proud of you. And definitely we would love to share this resource between two institutions. But at the same time, I'll be failing in my duties if I don't point it out that nothing is more troublesome for any teacher, for any academic administrator, once he notices that this biggest resource of his institution, it's getting deviated somewhere. बहुत ही दुख भरा लम्हा होता है हम सब के लिए वो. We expect students of both these universities, particularly the departments of law from the Central University of Kashmir as well as from the from University of Kashmir. Let you be the budding, those luminaries. Let not only the students of this university get enlightened, but even the teachers, even the faculty of this university should get enlightenment from students of these two departments. Because any activity, any research project, any academic activity that we perform in our departments, we have to see those projects, we have to see those proposals, we have to see those activities from different angles, from social angle, from technological angle, and even from legal angle. So keeping those things into consideration, your role is going to be paramount. And then one important aspect of our new educational policy is that it ought to be embedded in our ethos, in our culture. This is one of the important aspects of this educational policy. And it is always joyful to do anything which is very close to our culture, which is very close to our ethos. So that way, it will be a joyful activity to implement this new educational policy.
As already the earlier speakers have said, it's a historical moment. Indeed, it's a historical moment. Although, a lot has been said about this, about the NEP policy, about its advantages and disadvantages. Professor Manoj ji is also online, who also spoke. Also a great occasion to have him here, who already spoke before me. In the first instant when I read about the national education policy, or if I understand the crux of national education policy is, number one, the committee who has framed rules and regulations for this particular policy, I feel they are very much focused on maximum utilization of resources in any educational institution. Obviously, in their mind, it must be, since new institutions are coming, whether it's colleges or it's universities. We have old universities like our own, University of Kashmir, which has a good infrastructure, which has good human resource manpower, has good research facilities. Definitely Central University, where maximum of our own senior colleagues are working there. So I'm sure that it must be there in their mind that let these institutions which have a history, which are the older ones, play a leadership role in order, as they said, we have to hold hand of the newer institutions. Today's MoU is one of them, and I'm sure that it does not remain only on papers. It is workable, and I would request the Vice Chancellor, Central University of Kashmir, and Professor Farooq Ahmed Mir, our own Dean Faculty of Law, Professor Beauty, and both the departments of Department Law here and Department Law, Central University of Kashmir, if we can, at once, immediately focus some points on the roadmap so that immediately we implement this MoU. The other complicated ones can be later on, but the immediate ones can be immediately, so that it is workable and instantly we work on the MoU. Otherwise, what happens? It remains there on the table and we don't work it. I am very happy to see the various points which have been put up there about sharing of faculty, sharing of library resources, sharing of moot court and others, which is all workable. I feel it's all workable, and sharing of human resources, of course. And of course, our students in both the departments should be happy that they'll be able to interact with the faculty of both the universities and also share the other facilities as well. If we see the NEP policy, the first thing is there will be common entrance test. So at once one can understand what is in the minds of the committee members is that we have, through common entrance test, they are going to filter the students, and students, instead of having different entrance tests at different universities or institutes, they'll have one common entrance test. So it does not matter whether a student is admitted at University of Kashmir or he is admitted at Central University of Kashmir, because they have faced one common entrance test, and by virtue of this, sharing the resources and signing with MOUs, I think they are providing the other facilities which one of us would not have been able to give to our students otherwise. Of course, a very historical moment, and as I said, let it be a workable one. If we have any strengths at University of Kashmir, let that strength go to our children, let that strength be utilized by our society. I always say institutions belong to society, and we are committed for our children to provide them best knowledge, to provide them best expertise, to provide them best training. So I really, appreciate the type of move both the universities have taken. I really appreciate it. I hope that it paves way to other departments of our and your universities to have such MOUs where we can, so that other departments are also benefited. As I always say, Department of Law is a very important department on the campus of both the universities. At Central University and here also, I have been very closely associated with the students of Department of Law when I was DSW. I said it other day also, immense talent they have, immense communication skill they have, immense, creativity they have. And if we at the university, both the universities are able to channelize this creativity, channelize their intelligence, I think we'll have a changed society. And I think as teachers, we would do a remarkable work. With these words, I once again congratulate both the faculties of law of our university and Central University for thinking of this MOU, and in fact, I do hope it pays way to other departments also. And I said I'll personally see, how we implement it and what's the roadmap for this, and how immediately we move to the points where we can immediately, implement it. Once again, for other, things also, if University of Kashmir can be of any help to Central University of Kashmir, we'll definitely do it. As I said, both the institutions are for the society, and we have to see how we work together. Thank you very much, and I congratulate once more both the universities. Thank you.
Collaboration, partnership, this is the hallmark of excellence. And especially in the contemporary times, where resources are shrinking and shrinking very fast. Why collaborations are important? Because they lead to synergies. And what do you mean by synergies? I hope everybody understands. Synergies are synergies of situation where the combined output of two collaborative units is higher than the output taken out individually of the two units. So in common parlance, we can say a situation where 1 + 1 is equal to more than 2. So this is the mathematical expression. But if we say in the real sense, 1 + 1 is more than 2. And what is the ultimate limit? There is absolutely no ultimate limit to it. The maximum value of 1 plus 1 can be any number, any damn number. I, being a student of management, I understand how synergies have ensured highest level of productivity across the organizations in the given settings. Professor Farooq Ahmad Wees was referring to a situation, he was referring to a lesson that he has read. Instantly, I too have read that lesson, where the 2 people, one lame and one blind, joined hands and they made a decent living joining together. I don't know who is lame and who is blind over here, but that is a perfect example of synergies. And these synergies are possible only when we forge alliances, when we strike collaborations, when we create partnerships. Because, as I told, that the resources are shrinking and shrinking at a very, very fast pace. And this is how, of course, the care has been taken while formulating the new National Education Policy 2020, following the mandate given in the NEP 2020. And one of the important mandates as per that scheme, as per that policy, is forging alliances, and we have been doing this. This Department of Law of our university, under the dynamic leadership of Professor Farooq Ahmad Mir, has been doing wonders over the last many months. Recently, this year, we are going to offer a program on twinning basis with Rashtriya Raksha University, Gujarat, wherein the students would be asked to spend one semester at Chandigarh, Kashmir, the other semester at that university. So what I mean to say is that we are always at the hunt as far as alliances are concerned, as far as collaborations are concerned. The objective is that we try to give as much as to the society as possible. So I hope that this memorandum of understanding will prove as a stepping stone. BA LLB course that we run our at university, it has the highest demand ratio. At the demand ratio is around 12 to 15 people. That means for every vacant seat that we have at the university for this course, there are 15 aspiring students for this course. So it's not because we are offering something special. It is because this course is the most sought after course right now. So I mean to say that there could not be a better area of forging alliance than the legal education course, legal education area. And I was recently going through a survey report made public by the Bar Council of India. It says that, as per a conservative estimate, there are 2 million practicing lawyers in the country right now. It's only an estimated figure. And the demand for this profession is growing at a steady rate of 6 to 8%. So our population is not growing at 8%. Our GDP is not growing at 6%, 8%, but the demand for this profession is growing at 6 to 8%. So you can imagine 10 years down the line, what will be the demand of this course? And it is not only that basically all the people are going, maybe around 50%, 60%, they adopt this as a lawyering as an occupation, as a profession. Good number of people who pass out law do it for some other purposes, because we understand that anybody who wants to pursue politics, pursue any social activity, any other social activity, anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur, the preferred choice for those people is also law, because of obvious reasons. And one of the obvious reason is that it's a very important instrument for personality development, and it definitely augments the force of your argumentation. So there are so many reasons. So whatever the reason, the course is at a very, very great demand. And that is why we find that every time there is a tendency over the last some years, a tendency that the number of law colleges, number of colleges offering this course is increased all the time. Following the mandate given in the NEP 2020, and one of the important mandates as per that scheme, as per that policy, is forging alliances, and we have been doing this. This Department of Law of our university, under the dynamic leadership of Professor Farooq Ahmad Mir, has been doing wonders over the last many months. Recently, this year, we are going to offer a program on twinning basis with Rashtriya Raksha University, Gujarat, wherein the students would be asked to spend one semester at Chandigarh, Kashmir, the other semester at that university. So what I mean to say is that we are always at the hunt as far as alliances are concerned, as far as collaborations are concerned. The objective is that we try to give as much as to the society as possible. So I hope that this memorandum of understanding will prove as a stepping stone.
Colleagues and my dear students, Assalamu alaikum, a very good afternoon to all of you. It gives me an immense pleasure to present a vote of thanks on the momentous occasion marking the signing of Memorandum of Understanding between the School of Legal Studies, Central University of Kashmir, and the School of Law, University of Kashmir. This Memorandum of Understanding between the two institutions of higher learning in the discipline of law aims at promoting a collaborative effort on the part of two schools towards achieving academic excellence by tapping into the talent pool and material resources of both the schools of legal learning.